Welcome to the Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Let's get on with the show with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. Well, we are now less than a week to the Super Bowl. That's the NFL, that's the football in America. And yes, we will be getting ads over in that time point next week. Big ads with Marvel, with other movies, with fun ads and stuff like that, and probably a great football game and also halftime entertainment maybe. But yeah, so next week, the big likelihood is Mandalorian and Grogu. We may finally get a trailer, a proper full trailer. Then I'm thinking at the moment it's a very high likelihood. I'm also sticking to my possibility that we're going to get something of the Starfighter, which comes out in 2027. So I'm just saying to you, just watch that. Even if you don't watch it, I'm sure it'll be on YouTube later. But there could be something for Star Wars fans that day. I'm sure the biggest ad for that day will be Doomsday, the reveal of Doom. I'm sure they're going to do that. That's I think that's the possible actual prediction from a lot of people. But yeah, so that is next week, and that is making news. It's less than a week now, and be sure I will be on that ASAP from that point. Anyway, so to more news. Star Wars has declared, the actual people at Star Wars has declared that this season 2 we were going to get more of Darth Plagueis. And he was sort of slightly seen hiding behind rocks in Acolyte season 1. That no one, well, a lot of a big part of the Star Wars fans did not like. I did enjoy that image. I did enjoy the Yoda thing at the end. I thought there was, intrigue. I'm sure we would have gotten into that anyway. That's, to me, an obvious lead-in point to Season 2 that we'll never get. But yeah, so some ideas about that later on the show. But anyway, that is the news for this time around. Let's get into the views. The views is my story idea that I have to let you know. I accept the story for what it is. I accept it. I love the story of Star Wars. There's ups and downs and whatever, but that's how it is. But anyway, my story idea this time around is actually connected to that last piece of news about Darth Plagueis having a big role in season 2 of The Acolyte. I think personally, as my story idea, I wouldn't even do it as season 2. I would definitely have him in there. You'd want to sort of carry on that sort of intrigue into season 2. But I think Darth Plagueis, the actual story of Darth Plagueis, and then getting into training Palpatine Sheev Palpatine as his apprentice to the dark side. I think that is a trilogy in itself. I'm not really for character sort of movies much, and I'm not really much about going into the past, but this is definitely something that I think is a great story if they sort of dealt with it in a dark way, and that's what I would do. I deal it with a dark way. I'd make definitely a movie, a standalone movie, and then sort of have maybe a trilogy come out of it. But you've got to really know where to start and end the story of Darth Plagueis. Do you have him before he got Palpatine, or do you have it during Palpatine? I think personally the best story of that is having him when he had Palpatine. But that would be my story idea, having it as a movie rather than being a main plot point in Acolyte season 2. Anyways, that's my story idea. Let's get now into reviews. This week, I've got something actually very interesting. I just got landed a couple of days ago. My uncle here is from Malta. His name is Albert, and he gave me this. Look at this. This is Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view. Now, I know about this book. It's just got reasonings from certain people's point of view. In the story Return of the Jedi, it gives you, and this came out in the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, which was now 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And so Return of the Jedi, from a certain point of view, I think that's going to be a good read. I can't give you a rating for it because I've not even dived into it yet, but that would be great. So the certain point of view would be from the characters in the Return of the Jedi. That's from what I understand this book to be, and that would be a very interesting read. And look at that, it's quite a thick book, so I'm going to check that one out soon enough. Anyway, that's my review for this time around, and again, thanks to Albert for bringing that for me. That's great. Now, let's go into interviews. Interviews is usually my comments that I get on the last video that I did on YouTube. I don't have an Instagram account for this show, or an X or Twitter, so I just stick to the YouTube messaging area, and I usually just take the message from the last particular show. And as usual, Michael from Werribee South, that's the other side of Melbourne, loves to send his questions, and not just Michael from Werribee South. Anyone can send in questions. It could be trivia. It could be just, wanting to find something out about me with Star Wars, or it could be just comments. I'm not Mr. Trivia person, so I won't know how to answer all these questions. So, but please hit me up a question or comment, whatever. So the first question is from Michael. He says, how would it fit in the timeline? Fans often question if a movie should show Plagueis alive during the Phantom Menace, as suggested in Legends, or focus entirely on his younger years and Rule of Two. Well, that we just sort of spoke about this, really. I think having Darth Plagueis in the Phantom Menace would have made the actual movie a bit more exciting. I enjoy Plagueis, but I think when you have too many villains or too many, heroes, it gets lost. I think, Darth Maul at that stage with the Emperor was enough. And I think that side sort of, because Plagueis was around for a short period of the Phantom Menace Episode 1 in the story of the Star Wars timeline, but he died during the sequence, almost when Palpatine got voted in as the Chancellor. Then that was the point where he technically passed away from the hands of Palpatine, but that's another story. But yeah, I think that having the Darth Plagueis in Phantom Menace would have made it a bit too busy for the actual film. So I'm glad it never really got mentioned, and it keeps it more of a mystery for down the track, as we are now down the track. It could come out as a standalone film. The next question now from Michael from Werribee South says, I was thinking that when watching Rogue One, I did not hear or see any mention of Admiral Akbar during the film. On further investigation, I found no mention of Scarif on his Wikipedia page or of him on the Battle of Scarif page. So where was Admiral Akbar while the Battle of Scarif was raging? Well, he was actually in it, but not made predominant. He also had his relation, I think his name was Radius, was there. So he was there, especially Radius. He was the main Akbar type sort of creature. Calamari is a calamari background, and that's no joke. In Rogue One, so it was not really pushed to the forefront of the movie because there was just other things in that movie that needed to be, front and center. It was all about the Death Star plans, for example. Anyways, that's pretty much the answer to that question. The next question from Michael from Werribee South is, should it be an adaptation? Many fans argue that any movie should strictly follow Darth Plagueis' novel by James Lucchino, which is widely considered one of the best pieces of Star Wars literature. I wouldn't mind. If you follow that, it's fine. It's all good. It sort of bases itself on, some novelization. You can create add-ons to that, subtractions, or a completely different movie, but it would have to be what we do understand how Plagueis came to fruition and then died. Those points need to be left. But yeah, having an adaptation would be great. Anyway, so the next question, Michael from Werribee South, is what is the best format? While some push for a blockbuster film, others believe a multi-season series, often titled Sidious, would better handle the dense political maneuvering and long-term training required. I think Star Wars is all about being on the big screen. So me, big screen. That's the answer to that, to make it simple. Anyway, the next question is from Michael from Werribee South. Can you believe it? Is a villain-centric movie viable? A major point of contention is whether a Sith-only story can appeal to mass audiences. Some worry a movie might humanize or cheapen the pure evil of characters like Palpatine. If the movie was done like the last Predator film, it would work. I think that is the way you make a Sith-centric type film or an evil type film. You can do it, and Disney is not scared of doing it because Disney did release, I think, their Predator film. I think they released that one. If not, if you base it in that form, it will definitely get interest. I don't know if it would have mass appeal like a Star Wars A New Hope sort of film, but I think it would definitely get the hardcore fans really riled up and loving that. And just for the record, I thought that last Predator film was really good. Anyway, so the final question from Michael from Werribee South is Admiral Raddus related to Admiral Ackbar? Well, as I said before, he has some sort of connection in the calamari sort of creature connection. I think there is a relation. The exact relation, I'm unsure, but there is some sort of connection there in family, like family, not just species, but family. And that is the show for this time around. So please subscribe to the channel, The Force Always. I'm here 3 or 4 times a week. At the moment, about 3 times. I give you the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews of all sorts. And until next time, my friends, keep rocking.